Let's hope I didn't screw up this time. I really hope I didn't screw up this time. But yes, hello, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children, hopefully appropriate ages. I'm TheNateTCY, can call me Nate for convenience, and yeah, we're back with another one. I'm always excited to do these. I think now I'm looking more and more forward to doing these chatting stuff like every single time because it's genuinely that exciting for me personally. But yeah, we're back with another edition of I feel like there's a better way to name myself other than becoming better, but I can't really think of it because I'm not that creative, but we'll see how it goes. But yes, we're back with another edition of it. Usually it's on Fridays, but this one was an exception. We're doing it on a Sunday, and we've got a very special guest with us for tonight. If you've already seen the tweet, you already know who it is, but obviously it's something quite exciting. But yes, how has everyone been? Time check is currently 13 minutes past 9 on a Sunday, so yeah, weekend coming to end, Monday blues incoming as per the usual and whatnot. So yeah, hopefully everyone's fine. We'll let the stream run for maybe another 2-ish minutes more, and I'll introduce my guest, and then we will start from there. Time constraint might be something, but we'll see. We'll see what we can do. We'll see what we can do. No stress. Yeah, it'll be interesting. But yes, I think before I start, I think a few off-stream follows from Sleepless Mari, Jalito Jaloy, King Yo-chan, and Ning Ning BF Material, which is a bit of a weird username, but I can't really judge, can I? I can't really judge on that part, but yeah, we will see how it goes. But again, hopefully everyone's been fine, hopefully everyone's taking your dinner. It's a bit late for dinner at this point, honestly, but again, I'm not here to judge your schedule, just hopefully you've eaten something. Yes, you can hear me hydrate as well, obviously. That's on the floor. But yeah, we'll let this run maybe a minute-ish more, and then I will introduce my guest for tonight and what we're going to talk about and whatnot. Ooh. I don't know why when it comes to stuff like this, I am always anxious. I shouldn't be saying this while I've already started streaming. That probably is like one of the worst moves ever. To say, yes, I started streaming, but I'm still anxious. I can't help it. It is what it is anyway. So we'll see. We'll see how it plays out. Yeah, just let me know if the background music's a little bit too loud. I can always lower it a bit more, or if it's a bit too soft and want it to be a bit louder, I can always adjust it according to what's desired. We'll let it run for about 30 more seconds, and then we will start, because I guess time is of the essence to a certain extent. We'll see how it goes. Let's see how we play. Shaksu, hello. Shaksu, maayong gabi. Welcome to the stream, my friend. Kumusta pe? How have you been? Yep, I'll mute him in a bit, but yeah, I think you know what? Yeah, let's just start. Been chilling as usual. Good to hear, man. It's like been chilling. Getting used to the phrase "been chilling" is definitely falling off the wagon, but that's just me. But yeah, I think I should start talking about what we're going to talk about today. So yeah, today today's topic is going to be talking about high performance. The high performance topic came in. Let me lower the background music just a little bit. The high performance talk came in is because a friend of mine. I remember they left a message. It probably didn't mean anything much, but it made me think quite a bit. It's I always seem like a very busy person. So that's why I don't really approach you at times. And so I had to think to myself, when we talk about being busy, when we talk about being busy with stuff, we always associate that with being a high performer. I'm not trying to toot my own horn, and yes, I am high performing in my own academics and whatnot. And as much as I would like to talk about it, as much as I wanted to talk about it alone today, it wouldn't make sense without having the perspective of an actual high performer. Society has, your many different roles, and I think one of the roles in society that is always assumed to be the highest of high performers is, doctors to a certain extent. On the dot, life or death, little to no margin for error. So it wouldn't have, if I feel like it would have been a missing gap, it would have been a missing piece if I didn't have someone from a medical field, or someone who is pursuing the role of a high performer in society to come and discuss with us about. And thankfully, I do know someone, and I'm sure most of you do know someone in the VTubing community as well who fits that role quite nicely. He is a dear friend. He is a dear brother, a dear kuya. Every time I get to talk to him, I feel more and more related to him. I see myself in him more and more, and I feel more knowledgeable every time. And so it wouldn't have made sense if I didn't have him here. And serendipitously, he is also pursuing the role of one of the highest performers in society, and that is doctors. And today we're going to have him say his piece, and we'll see how it goes. So yes, ladies and gentlemen, my guest for tonight, Mr. Ryan DLR.
Thank you for having me, Nate.
Thank you for joining. Honestly, it's weird. Like, I know you're a friend. Like, you treat me as a brother and you treat me as a friend, but there's always something still a bit, I don't know, anxious about interviewing friends and what. There's still something to it.
Yeah, I think, I don't know. For me, it's something that I have very much grown very accustomed to, because people would always be asking, "Oh my God," when they find out that, "Oh, you're a doctor,
Yeah.
what do you do?" And a lot of these questions seem like office questions, but then like you hear this from people you consider friends, right? Because I don't want to toot my own horn, but a lot of people will say, "Damn, you're a doctor." The amount of respect gets high, right? Like
Yeah.
it just shoots up, because people would know, "Oh shit, he's Doc Ryan. Oh, I wanna impress Doc Ryan. Oh, I don't wanna, like, people around would always think the best of me. Like, think I'm some sort of like all knowing turd or something similar.
All knowing.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, I'm just like you guys. I just happen to know a little bit more medical stuff, I guess, if I do say so.
Right.
Yes.
That's fun, honestly. I would toot your horn, right? It could be said, I'll toot your own horn.
Oh my God, so cute.
What's so cute? But yeah, I remember we were DMing not too long ago, and I was asking, like, do I call you as Doctor One, and you said that wasn't necessarily like the most accurate title. So before I go ahead and I continue botching, your introduction and whatnot, why don't you remind or introduce to the ladies and gentlemen yourself, your own persona?
All right, so my name is Ryan. Well, a lot of people just call me simply Doc Ryan lang. And I have graduated med school. I was already an RN when before I proceeded. So in all technicality, I am not yet a doctor, but I don't have the MD in my name yet. That's why I say so. Because it's so frustrating to explain to people. Oh, I'm not technically, because it's also started. I'm not technically a doctor yet, right? Yeah. I'm technically not a doctor, and then everyone's like, no, we have to manifest that. Oh, you're already a doctor. I can feel it already, and then all right, whatever floats your boat, and then people just kind of like ride the bandwagon about it, like, and then I sort of like came to be known as Doc Rai. But to be fair, in terms of like title, I have the doctor in my name, as you can see. Like, I'm Doc Ryan, but at the same time, I am also like, I may have doctor in my name, but I don't have the license yet, which I will be taking the licensure exam very, very soon, by the way.
That is nice. That's very nice to hear.
Something to look forward to.
Something to look forward to. You've been preparing well. I know you've been preparing very, very, very handily for that. So All the best
Yeah,
to you, honestly.
there's been a lot of setbacks, honestly. But
Yeah.
so I would like to think that this is just a little bit of a setback.
Mhm.
Like this is a minor setback in a list of accomplishments, right? I want to keep my head high. I don't want to feel depressed, feel down. I just gotta keep on grinding the IRL grind. Yeah, so I just don't want to be pulling out the like, oh, I'm a doctor card, because I don't want to make people feel like I'm better than them. I want people to know that I'm just like them. I am a regular person like you guys.
And that's why, yeah, I think that will be something we'll be talking about a little bit later on as we go through the phases of being a high performer and whatnot. But I guess first question, since we're focusing on you becoming in the medical field, how did you start? Like, why the medical field? How did you get your start in that one?
All right, I'm gonna be a bit real here. Like, I'm not the most noble person. All right, I'm pretty straightforward. Um, like when I the thought of becoming a doctor never was as appealing to me initially. Actually,
Really? Oh no. I've got a gut feeling. I have a gut feeling that Ryan's internet just dropped. Oh, Christ.
oh no,
Is he back? Back. Okay, you're good. You're mid.
my internet died. All right.
Okay. You said you weren't really that into becoming a doctor, so.
Yeah, but the thing here is that, like, I'm gonna be real. It's the prestige of becoming a doctor. Like, I've always been wanting to be a person that a lot of people would look up to. And in order to be someone that people look up to, I needed to have a name for myself, right? I needed to be like someone. Like, I only wanted people to listen to what I had to say. And then, like, I wouldn't be like talking to people and say, "Oh, who are you? Like, what the hell are you? What gives you the authority to talk to me like that?" And so I wanted the prestige. Number two, I wanted to do my own research. I don't tell a lot of people this. All right, I'm bringing it out right now. I'm also a researcher. I do research. All right.
Okay.
I'm actually a researcher as well, but I haven't done one since third year of medicine. I haven't done research.
What year of medicine are you in now then?
Yeah, I've done research on different plants in lowering blood sugar. I've done oh my god, EQB's question just makes me laugh.
If you have prestige as a doctor, right? Do you have a golden gun? Dang.
I have a golden gun on Sigma and Overwatch.
Golden syringe.
But yeah, it's just like a lot of things. I want to be as adept with a lot of things as I can, because it seems like I want to have to gain as much experience, as much variety, and being in that high of a position as doctor would enable me to pursue whatever the hell I want.
Okay, I get where you're coming from with that one. Yeah,
no one's gonna say like, "Hey, I want 50 grams of cocaine." Like, "Oh, what are you, a drug pusher?" No, for my research. Like, oh my god.
It's pushing it a little bit, but I get your point. You're fair. You have a point. Fair enough. You have a point.
You see where I'm going at here, and like over time, like when I got to high school, it was always in my mind. I wanted to go to I want to be able to utilize my medical knowledge in the most unorthodox ways. There's just so many applications. Like, it's unlike, like, no offense to law students, but it's a bit difficult for me to apply law when I'm fighting a giant man. Okay, like, I can't use the law to win a fist fight. Like, oh my god, if I have medical knowledge, I can hit him here. I can do this. I just want a piece. I just want a piece of knowledge where I can apply it anywhere. Right?
Okay, you talk about unorthodox. I'll give you that. It is very unorthodox the way you're going to apply that knowledge.
Yeah, but I'm gonna be real. Like,
Mhm.
I never had I was never the benevolent kind person. Right? I
Mhm.
was never like, because I'll be real. Like when I entered mid school,
Yep.
the first question they ask, "Why do you want to become a doctor?"
Mhm.
And then when if ever you said, "I want to help people," the people are the doctors are gonna be, "Oh, screw you." That's a lie. I mean,
Yeah,
honestly,
unfortunately. Yeah, unfortunately. I feel like it shouldn't be, but I get where they're coming from to a certain extent because it's become such a. Is it a true answer? Like, do you think that? I mean,
yeah,
understanding the people who do that, but what do you think of it?
yeah. That's why, like, it's always, do you want the real answer or do you want the pageant answer? Is it that's something you want to say the
Ah.
pageant? So what I said to my proctor is that I just wanna get the name, all right? I just want to get prestige.
Mhm.
Okay,
Mhm.
I'll be frank. It's hard working for people who are thankless, but at the same time, you have to, right?
Mhm.
Like we tend to forget that being in healthcare means you're in the service industry.
Mhm.
People are gonna yell at you. People are gonna like, hey, well, I'm having headache and I given pain reliever.
Uh-huh, uh-huh. Yeah.
People are gonna be. It's a thankless job, just like
Mhm.
being. It's as thankless as being a Jollibee or McDonald's service worker.
Yeah, I feel
Like,
like it is one of yeah. You do have a point where it's like we don't show enough appreciation where people just take for granted that again I guess it's societal expectations where because you're a doctor you're expected to have to perform this and this and you're expected to have to deal with that and that because that's your job tentatively. But yeah, I feel like the expectation of that has made people, as you said, it's made the industry more thankless than it needs to be, or it's made people just take for granted of that there's still people to a
yeah,
certain extent that they have to do it.
there's like two sides of the coin here, but like with my medical journey, when I graduated high school, I wanted to be a psychologist. Before graduation, I wanted to be a psychologist. But then
Okay.
I saw that because nursing was the least of my priorities, because this was a time when everyone was taking nursing. Like, because there were job offers abroad, right, for nurses. So people would be, oh, I'm going abroad because I want to work as a nurse. I want to be in the UK. I want to be in NA because it pays more in comparison to the third world, the developing country I'm in the Philippines,
Yeah.
pays more.
Right.
Now, the thing there is I didn't want it. I don't want to be a nurse. And then I took an exam for medical technologist. So these guys are the lab rats. They take out, they extract the blood, phlebotomy, they run it through lab machines. You
Right.
get your results. That's what they
Okay.
do. I
Okay.
wanted to be that because
Ah.
I'm a very introverted person. I guess I'm ambivert. Yeah, but my mom was like, no, because the one problem that medtech had,
Mm-hmm.
the two problems rather, is that one, there's not you can actually, with medtechs, you only need a few of them in a hospital, and number two, it was not available in my island.
Ah, so the scarcity of the position is an issue then.
Yeah, and it was not in Bohol, so I would need to travel to Dumaguete, which is a completely different island, and my mom didn't like that, so I had to settle down for nursing here in here, and
Uh-huh.
I'll let you know, I hated it. I hated my first 2 years of it.
Mm-hmm.
I hated my first year, rather. I hated my first year.
Okay, to your
It
first.
was, yeah, it was not fun, at least for me.
But what was not fun about it? If you're open to talk about it.
What was not fun for it was because it was not my decision to take it.
Mm-hmm.
At
Okay.
first, it
Fair.
was not my decision. I did not like the company I was with.
Mm-hmm.
Like, the people didn't help because I don't drink. I'm not a very social person. Like, I don't club. I don't club. I don't drink. Socially,
Hmm.
at least, like to the point that you're drunk. Like these, I had friends who drank every day. I had friends who'd party every day, who'd have sex every day, and I did not. I was not like that. And then I said,
Uh-huh.
"Oh, I want to get out of here." And I always
Mm-hmm.
told my mom, like, "Can I at least transfer to another school because I don't like it here."
Right.
And then she's like, "All right, I'll just no." Just she kind of convinced me to stick with it.
Yep.
And then second year happened. So when second year happened, we had something called reshuffling. Right, all the sections will be shuffled. Different people So all the established friend groups were fractured, right? And we had a mix of people coming in. So this was a time where I was encouraged actually to enjoy nursing, and then I did. I enjoyed nursing, and then I graduated, and then I passed the board, and then I took a break. And while I was in this break, this was a time for me to reflect on myself, and just because my mom either wanted me to take medicine or wanted me to go abroad, nurse, which is still an option right now, actually.
What was the result of that reflection then?
I proceeded. 2016, I proceeded to take my medicine, my medical course, my doctorate. Yeah. So I was in this period, I was a private nurse. I was a private nurse over on Cagayan, in another island. I was sent there, paid really well. And then I was sent all the way to Luzon, all the way to Camp Aguinaldo as a private nurse for a month.
Right.
Paid really well.
Right.
But the thing was, like, Cagayan, I enjoyed, but the Manila atmosphere was a bit too burdensome for me. As a small country boy, I'm technically a country boy because I come from a province. Country boy.
Right, you're not from the city or what?
I'm not. I'm from a city.
It's not as big?
It's a small city. You technically can go around the city in a day. So,
wow, that is a small town. But yeah.
I did not like it as much because Manila was just so congested. Language barrier was heavy on me, and I didn't like how people felt like it was very rushed, and it was very hot. It was very cramped. This is just my personal experience. No offense to those from Manila, but it was just like when I went back to the countryside, or like in Bohol, I was like, oh my god, finally a place where everyone knows everyone.
I can understand that appeal. Like I am myself. I feel. I wouldn't say I'm in that deep of a position, but it's a similar position where I come from a very small town. Now I'm in quite a big city, and doing uni studies and whatnot. It is a bit to get used to. There is an element of adapting that I'm still not used to, even though I've been here for about a year. I'm still not used to it, but it's I can understand. I can understand the appeal for a smaller place where everyone gets to know everyone and whatnot. So yeah, that's understandable.
Oh, definitely. Yeah. So like one of the things, like as I proceeded on my med journey, like the studying was grueling. I lacked sleep. It was either I lacked sleep or I oversleep. It's either I underate or overate a lot. Which in this case, like I didn't eat as much in my first year and second year, but when I reached third year, I was starting to binge eat because I had to find ways to stay awake to answer my exams. And then fourth year, I was on duty for 36 to 48 hours a day. Believe it or not.
Man.
So I had to steal sleep in the hospital. Like that, they would just call me, oh, what are you doing?
You have got to be kidding me.
Come on, man. Like there were times, I'm gonna be real, there were times that I had to manage over 40 patients, right? And then I can't do that. Come on, I can't do that.
40?
40, yes. 40 patients. So I can't do this. Like I'm just a fourth year.
You should be able to do that.
Oh, here's the thing. So I looked at my patients, right? Here's my initial assessment. So I created like a system for myself.
Right.
And I would look at them and just say, this guy, because there would be times where you would be taking your vital signs for the patients, like heart rate, like breathing, fever, temperature.
Yeah.
Like when you look at these guys, like I have 40 patients. What I would do, like real talk, I'm gonna be divulging to you very, very, like how I had to do it because I can't.
All right.
I'm understaffed, so like I looked at these patients. And when I see that these guys can walk, these guys can talk, these guys can take a dump, these guys can take a piss. All right, no issues there. I'm not gonna look at you anymore. And I see this patient that's like he's on an incubator, he's not breathing right, he's unconscious. Okay, these are the guys that matters because I know all of you there the 30 of you that can walk, that can talk, that can do whatever you want, I don't care about you. I will just take your vital signs once, and I will not take them again for my shift. Yeah, so I had to survive because they'd be asking, "Oh, where are your vital signs?" And like, give me a break. Give me a break.
Yeah, exactly. I guess
So,
you go
yeah.
first. Keep going.
Yeah, that's why like healthcare is such a hard. It's very difficult, especially here, because there's way too many things like going on. Like everyone is under. It's the hospitals are understaffed. We have a huge population. It's just
Sounds
that
like an absolute
is
mess. Yeah, it really
it's
does.
very messy. Yeah, it is.
I guess it ties. I mean, you've already segued into the next one, where it's like the stigmas and the expectations towards just medical students in general. Where like again like you said, like you've already named a few, where it's like bunch of exams, staying up for late hours, having to binge eat and whatnot. Like, how much of that is like is it just part of the industry, part of the field, part of the experience that you have to go through that? Like,
Yeah,
are you supposed to go through that, or is it because of how maybe to a certain extent mismanaged the education process of it is, so that
yeah.
you have to go through all that stuff and whatnot?
Yeah, the unfortunate reality is like there has always been a stigma when it comes to like being a med student or personnel,
Yeah.
because you could see it as some sort of a. You could see this as some sort of a. You look at the hospital as a large school, all right?
Okay.
We're a large school. And then you have subjects in your school, and there are cliques in the school, right?
Okay.
And each clique has like this. They have this stigma. They have this thing that you need to do. How you can prove yourself, like for everything. Like let's say you are, like in my experience, you are in obstetrics, like you're in obstetrics and gynecology. So as a guy,
yeah,
I had it easy. I'll be real with you. I had it easy because a lot of the ladies in OB were single.
Okay.
Desperate for a man. And then they'd be like, "Oh my god, I'm like," they'd call you like, "Oh, hello, dear. Do you want to have lunch with me?" And then, no. And they would call you dear. They would call you langa, which is like still dear, which is dear. They would call you all of these names.
Right.
And then, "Oh, it's okay. Oh, doc, I'm so sorry. I forgot to take the vital signs." "Oh, it's okay." They would do that to the guy doctors, and some of them would even be touchy with the guys. And then when they see this beautiful 4th year med school clerk, they would call her by her last name, and they'd be so angry. It's like a sorority, right? It's like a sorority.
It's a bit odd. I'll give you that. It is a bit odd. Like the way you're saying it, the way I'm processing it, it's not really going through the back of my head. Unfortunately, it's odd to say the least.
It's a sorority, man. That's what I'm trying to say. It's a sorority.
The one.
Yeah, this is stereotypes around. And when you go to surgery, these guys have like large egos, and it's like a gang. It's like a frat, all right? It's a frat. Oh, you're the 4th years. Well, you got a lot to do before you can prove you belong here. And then they would put you into like the grinder, and then they're gonna make you do stuff. Hey, buy me a burger. And then, all right, dog, I'll buy you your burger.
So it's like a hazing thing, isn't it?
Yes, and I buy myself a McDonald's burger. Here, I got you a cheeseburger. Oh, thanks. And then here I am waiting to get paid, and I don't get paid.
Oh, man, that is hazing, obviously, but is it normal? Is it really just normal for
this? Has transformed into something that is normal, unfortunately, because everyone. Welcome. I'm welcome to how it is. Like, there's a lot of people who want to go against this stigma, but unfortunately, that's very few and far between. So, like, it's a culture of sheer bullying, right? The people would raise an open closed fist because they wanna like like this is how always been how surgery worked. My rotation, at least. It's not true for all hospitals, but this was my experience.
Mm-hmm.
All right. And then I get into pediatrics where everyone is super cranky or super nice. There's no in between. All right. If they're the older doctors, they're super nice. If they're the younger doctors, they're super cranky. Like they look like they're about to throw a tantrum. So like I remember, right? Like I was in the neonatal, the pediatric ICU. I was with a patient with shock, and then here I am, like, oh, Dr. Ryan, can you get an ABG? And then, oh, I've never done that before. All right, I'll try. And then I tried to get an ABG, and then I'm afraid to do so. And then I asked Doc. Hey Doc, I can't. Can you teach me how? And then she fucking yells at me. Oh, that's not my problem. Why did you not learn how to do that? Oh, don't be an idiot. Whenever you come here, please study it. Oh no. And then I'm in a place where there's no signal, so I can't Google anything. And my bag is outside because I'm wearing the scrubs because I'm in the ICU. And oh no.
Oh man, that sounds like a. And how did you deal with that situation then? How did you deal with it?
I did it. I just copied the movements of the med deck that I saw a few weeks ago. So I just saw him do that. I followed. Monkey see, monkey do. And then I got the blood. Like, oh, wow, that was harder than I thought. It took me a while.
There's still some skill to monkey see, monkey do. You actually still remember it from like a few weeks ago and whatnot.
Yeah, because I saw my friends do it. Like, oh, you'll be getting ABGs, and oh shit, if I get an ABG, and then I had to. I was in the ICU, and then it was actually super scary too because being there and this child is depending on you, like you know, picking up your lab results is it's standing in the way of the treatment, you know. So that really kind of like messed with me a bit because I was pressured to be fast, and I hate being pressured to be fast. So that was my experience at Pedia, and like a lot of different departments have their own like it's like a quest line. Have you seen the game Bully, where each click has a quest line? Like you have
I think
exactly
yeah.
Yes, it's exactly that. And then these IM guys, the nerds, like the internal medicine, the guy who treats their hypertension and diabetes, they go on odds with the surgical folk, right? They're about to throw hands because they follow different principles for the same problems. So there was one time. How does that
work then?
Because when you have a patient with cancer, let's say thyroid cancer,
all right,
Mr. IM or internal medicine, the internist would say, oh, chemo. Mr. Surgery will say, oh, surgery. And then these guys will be like at odds with each other. And then sometimes, no consensus can be achieved. So they start to throw hands, literally. So I remember in the hospital I worked with, there were two like 60, 70-year-old consultants that were fighting in the hallway. Yes. And yeah, I see Horo's question. That's a legit thing. Yes, it's a real thing. Yes, that's a real thing. So they actually fought. Like, they were actually fighting. And then me, I was in ortho then. I didn't know who to side with because I don't work for either of these guys. Yeah, and then it's so funny because like their juniors would be holding them back. Like, oh, go, hold back, calm down. And then the surgery guys will be pulling down surgery.
It doesn't sound like a hospital.
It's so stupid, honestly. And then like I remember going to the orthopedics office. I go in and it's an actual gym. It is an actual gym because ortho guys they have to be really strong because they'll be pulling bones. They'll be reducing fractures and everything. So these guys are jacked. Like all of them are jacked, like to the max.
Right.
Like, you don't want to mess with these guys. And the funny thing here is here's the funny thing, right?
Yeah.
I got to I remember I was with the IM doc, and then they actually have this hospital league basketball, right? And every department is represented there. So
Uh-huh.
you'd have like oh, it's the nursing department, oh, it's the OB, and then what? Wait, girls versus boys is an actual thing, right? With
Huh.
it. Yeah, like it's like everyone really wants to play in this in the inter inter departmental basketball. And then I've seen like the Obigaini. There's like 6 of them playing. The
Yeah.
funny thing is they had this one really huge really huge dude, right?
Mhm.
God, like why is this? And it was funny because they were facing against IM, and IM is a bunch of nerds. Like they like read a lot,
Uh-huh.
and then they lost. And then wait, this guy is huge. Like, this guy looks like an orthopedic surgeon. It's so weird seeing him here in OB, and when he started talking, it turns out he's gay, and then he has no problem dealing with you know dealing with the genitalia. So I see. So they won. So like it's like it's just a lot of weird things going on, right? And there's a lot of drama, and then the anesthesia department technically kind of is like on they're being choked by the neck by the surgery department, and then in my hospital I work with, like the anesthesia guys, like they don't like the surgery guys. But that first year surgery student, the first year surgery resident fell in love with the first year anesthesia resident. And oh no, they had to keep their relationship a secret. It was like a Romeo and Juliet thing. And Doc Alfard, no. No. Yeah, I see that. No way, dude.
I'm trying so hard to comprehend this. This is actually hard to process because, again, it's like I guess it's societal expectations when it comes to, again, doctors and medical personnel in general. On the dot, life or death, no margin for error. And then listening to this, it just feels like all of those expectations are to a certain extent like thrown out the window. How much of society's expectations and I guess stigmas and whatnot towards medical personnel do you think is actually like correct?
Well, here's the thing, right? Like a lot of this is how the society sees medical personnel, is how TV sees medical personnel. Like they're like these cool, like they're like crossing their arms and then they posing for photos and then saving lives. They be on their tables or doing surgery, like and then like you'd see the patient walking out of the wheelchair because he just had a surgery and then he's happy, like thank you doctor, thank you, like that's their expectations.
Mhm.
That is correct, but that is a small part of what society doesn't know. Medical world, I'll be real with you, is very political. It's even borderline childish.
I mean, it sounds like it from what you just explained. Yeah, definitely sounds childish to some extent anyway.
Everyone has an ego to a certain degree. Everyone has like is starting to suffer from like a lot of mental health issues because of the bullying. Some even regress. Some are sad. But not even some. Like there's a lot of things going on. But feeling remorse for a patient, I'll be real with you, seldom.
Seldom, really.
I'll be real. Because imagine if you'd feel sad for a patient, all your patients. So you'd be crying every day. Alright? You're crying every day. And what's that gonna make you? Like you're like, I'll be real here. Like if you keep this up, if you're gonna be feeling emotional every time your patient dies, that's gonna have an effect.
It's going to have an
on
effect,
your
yeah,
mental
now that
health.
Yeah, now that I say that, yeah,
It's not good.
Uh-huh.
That's why a lot of medical professionals, myself included, are desensitized. They don't feel anything. We've thrown away that level of humanity to serve it. Yes. When someone dies, all right, time to wrap him up. We say the most weirdest shit. All right, time to wrap him up. What? Are you just gonna treat him as some baggage? No, that's not what I meant. We're just gonna bring him to the morgue. That's like because we start to like they're desensitized to it because we've seen this happen again and again. And if we let it bother us, then we, like, if we let this bother us, then we are not good healthcare workers. This is our job.
Wow,
To you guys, this is your life. This is your grandma, this is your mom, your dad, your sister, your brother, your loved one. This could be anyone. To us, it's Monday, and we're here to get the job done.
man, that's actually really painful to hear. Like it is really painful to hear, because I feel like I don't know if this is true and whatnot. Like for me, like when it comes to doctors, and I understand like they probably do have, you know, a doctor who's performed so and so number of surgeries or so and so number of successful operations and whatnot.
Yeah.
But I feel like, is it right to say that there's like what I wanted to ask is there more human aspect to medical stuff, like bonding with the patient and all that stuff? Like from what you said, you can't afford to do any of that, unfortunately.
Well, bonding with the patient in a doctor-patient relationship is a lot more different than what you think bonding is. Because our relationship is geared towards the wellness of the patient, where other relationships would be geared towards a steady friendship, would be geared towards maybe even infatuation or love for the person. We're here to set a relationship because we want you out of the hospital, realistically speaking. And when you're out of the hospital, that genuinely gives us joy, not because you are well, but because we have one less thing to deal with.
Ah, man, it sounds like the relationship is so like transactional, that there's no two-way of anything. Like would you want, like genuinely would you want it to be this transactional, or do you think it should be a bit more human-ish?
Now that boils down to how often you see the patients, because I have seen relationships definitely that a friendship is starting to build beneath the transactional relationship. It's a friendship building up, and this will only stem if you see the same patient you see the patient more times. Let's say psych doctors, the psych doctor's patient, you see them. If you're a psych doctor, you see your patient all the time. Like you start to develop a relationship with your homie, right? Like, hey, how have you been? How's your mental health? Are you okay? What have you been doing? And then you develop a friendship, because these are gonna be your patients for life. And maybe let's say for an IM doctor, like you see the same patient coming in. Oh, it's you. How's your high blood? How's your hypertension? How's your diabetes? Oh, doc, I lost my leg. And, oh, damn, that is unfortunate. Like, how about I refer you? And don't worry about worry about the referral fee. It's free. Because, oh, thank you, doc. Because I mean, you've been here for quite some time. I understand. You see, there's a level of friendship. But if it's like, wow, like all of a sudden, an acute case, and you're not, it's rare.
Yes, it just feels. I mean, I understand. Like, I guess when it comes to stuff like this, I know in most businesses, and I understand that, you know, the medical field is still a business to a certain extent. In most businesses, you always measure how good an employee is based on, you know, the amount of sales they do, or, you know, an arbitrary number. Is that the same for medical stuff? Are you graded by the number of patients you push out? Not push out. The number of patients that you get well. Are you measured in performance by the number of surgeries you've done, the number of operations? Like what makes a good doctor / medical personnel?
I'll be real, all right? I have always been a firm believer that you should never base your life with numbers, all right? Your score, your salary, your number of viewers, your money, numbers. If you let this dictate our lives, we're not going to be happy, all right? Number of surgeries, your success rate, no.
Yeah.
For me, what makes a good doctor goes down to the purpose of a doctor itself. How well, it's like, how can he treat his patient? He doesn't have to be cured. It doesn't have to be, it's definitely, it will all boil down to how you treat your patient. It won't even matter if your patient got cured or not, but it is how you treat them. Give them a chance to walk again, or give them comfort even in their dying times. All right. Like I see a patient dying, or I give him pain relief, so you won't feel like he's gonna be screaming every 24 hours. Like that's how I would measure it. A lot of people would think that, oh, I've done X amount of surgeries, I've cured X amount of people. But if you're an asshole, then you're an asshole. And
Yeah, it's the issue of like, let's say a doctor has done 600 surgeries but is an asshole versus a doctor who's maybe done only 200 operations but is like, one of the more nicer and approachable. It feels like I would rather go for the one with less operations just because they're easier to approach.
Yeah, there's like a lot of nuances about it, and like there's a lot of conditioning involved too. Like a lot of doctors would like it that medicine will be your life. Medicine will be everything that you know. You have to dedicate your life to medicine. Here's the thing. They do this, because if you dedicate your entire life to medicine, you'll talk about nothing but that. This is why a lot of doctors their heads become bigger. They would think they know everything about medicine because, I've studied this. I've dedicated my life to this.
Right.
And then you try to talk about anything else and they just don't care. They just want to hear the praises that people give them or something like that. It's sad. It's hard. So I could count in my hands and feet the number of good doctors I met, and God knows how many assholes I met. I'm gonna be real. But yeah, it's not all sunshine and rainbows. But there is a little bit, but there is some light.
There is some light. That's fair. Like I like how I like your mindset to it. Oh yeah, horror redeemed the hydrate as well. So if you want to hydrate, I say something. It's, I don't know. There's something comforting about how you say it, where it's like instead of basing on numbers, but because I feel like for a good amount of stuff that I hear when it comes to medical stuff, like why people go into the medical field, I don't know why, but a good amount of that is always about, like you said, it comes to salary, it comes to pride, I'm able to do, X amount of, successful operations and whatnot. I feel that there's something comforting about your answer where you talked about was always, it goes back to the core purpose of a doctor, and that is to treat and whatnot. And I feel like some people who go into the field and unfortunately don't go for that, the core service of a doctor is lost for some reason. I don't exactly know. Like, why do you think that is? Why do you think some people, don't? Again, core service of the doctor is to treat the patients, to be of service, is to serve the patient. Why do you think it's lost in some people? Why do you think that's the case? What's your opinion on it?
Well, a lot of people kind of lose this sense of purpose as of being a doctor because of everything else. They start to focus on things that, that even contradict their purpose, that don't suit their purpose. Like being a doctor realistically is a calling. If you want to get rich, you could always go into business. But some people would use being a doctor as a way to get rich. I'm gonna be real. You will never go hungry if you're a doctor. But at the same time, how about how you treat your patient? You're gonna treat them as your client. You're gonna treat them as your customer. You're not gonna be treating them as a patient.
Yeah, that is that. That definitely is that. And that's the like number of times I've seen it where it's like, again, they're not treating them as a patient, more so again a transactional relationship. Not to say that treating them as a patient isn't, but there's still more of a human element to it than just straight just, oh, you're here for this, I'll just do so and so. I don't care how you feel about things and not giving you any form of comfort, and I'll send you on your way. Unfortunately, that seems to be the case. It's not great. And then like it also talks about like another thing I want to ask is because when I was doing research about being a high performer and whatnot, when it comes to high performer CEOs and whatnot, a very worrying but very common trend is the loss of identity, where it's I suffer from the same. even though I'm only doing academics, where, like you said just now, my work, I am my work and my work is me. I feel like I'm nothing without my work, and my work means nothing without me. And so when it comes to studying, unfortunately, like that's why when people always come into, you know, for example, I sit in the voice channel and they come in and say, oh, what are you doing? I say studying. A part of me is screaming at, like, every time they come in, you know, I say I'm studying, and it feels like my identity is tied to studying. Like, I don't know anything outside of it, you know. I don't have any hobbies, I don't go for any social interactions. Like my whole I guess studying life from high school until now in university has always just been studying. And yes, on the surface it seems like, okay, I'm a good, you know, stereotypical Asian son who's always studying, always getting like really good, you know, 3.9 GPAs and whatnot. I obsess over grades. I used to obsess over grades, and now it's just like when I don't study, like especially like when I'm on my semester break, I don't know what to do. I feel lost. So I need to ask you, like in particular, because again, you're a high performer. I understand, like, doctors, societal expectations where you always have to be working, you always have to be treating, and I don't think society gives you enough credit to, you know, you're still a human. You still need to rest. You still have your mental health that you still need to care for and whatnot. Do you suffer from that? Are you always tied to your work? And if not, how do you I guess detach yourself from work when you need to detach yourself from work?
All right. So when it comes to like work, like I do suffer from a lot of the, you know, the woes of being a professional, right? Like it's hard trying to keep a balance with everything going on. It's really hard to like juggle so many things at the same time. I have to be treating patients in the morning, doing procedures in the afternoon. Evening is where people apparently like pass away, so I have to be there.
Yeah.
And then I have a report early in the morning to make.
Yeah.
Like every day. That has always been the cycle.
Yeah.
So the thing here is how do I like need to disconnect, right?
Yeah, how do you disconnect? Like, how do you not let your work become you? How do you define yourself outside being a medical personnel?
Here's the thing. Me being here right now is a good definition, right? Because I also don't want to be just known as Doc Ryan. In fact, that is just a part of me. This is a part of me. A very important part of me, but a part of me nonetheless. I want to do more. I want to be able to do other things. I want to be able to cook. I want to learn Chinese. I want to be able to play video games. I want to hang out with my friends.
Yeah.
Like, there's so many things that I just want to do that overall defines who I am. Because I do not want to be married to my work. Because imagine if I was, like, what about my future wife, my future children, my mom, my sisters? Maybe they're not going to be in a good spot. Like, who would be there? I want to be there. All right. Like,
but you don't want to be there as Doc, right? You want to be there as a son. You want to be there as a sibling. You want to be there as a friend.
Yes, a friend. Yes, exactly. That is exactly like my point, right? Because I just don't want it to be my world, and I'm trying to work towards that, to that kind of like you know, away from that kind of lifestyle. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Like, that's why I'm here with you. Like, I'm on Twitch. I have fun with my friends. I meet new people, talk to people, that kind of thing. Yeah.
That's why I look up to a lot of like you guys when it comes to streaming. Like, you're able to do your work, but you're still able to stream. I struggle with that. I genuinely struggle with that. I am so like when I talk, like I'm so attached to my studies that, again, my GPA is the best it's ever going to be. It's going to be up number one, number two. It's going to be top standards, top 1%, no issues. But I feel like I've sacrificed so many things in order to get that GPA. I'll have that grade with me, but then I'll have nothing else to define me. That's the thing. And I feel like a part of me is that because again, another symptom with high performers is they try to be as efficient as possible. That's understandable. We know that time is a finite resource, and we want to maximize our time. And my fear of like wasting time is to the point where I don't let myself do anything outside of what I'm doing, like outside of my purpose. Like, for example, right now my role as a student, so my mindset is in that core standard of like I am a student, and I'm only to be a student. Like, I find it hard to detach from being a student, because my fear is that if I do something other than studying, if I do something other than my academics, I'm not using my time correctly. I'm not using my time efficiently. And so what happens is I always occupy with it to the point where it's like it doesn't even benefit me, but I'm doing it for the sake of doing it. Like I could be sitting there for hours, but it could be hours of just nonsense, absolutely just nonsense. But I have to be there because my mind says I have to be there. I don't let myself be bored. Do you let yourself be, bored? Do you let yourself like have a time where you have absolutely nothing to do, but you're okay with it? Like, do you allow yourself to be bored? Because again, you talk about like, in the morning you have your stuff, in the morning, the afternoon, the evening, the early mornings, you always have stuff going. When you don't have stuff going, it depends on when the time comes and whatnot. Do you let yourself be bored? Do you let yourself just sit there and just like, gaze at the ceiling or whatnot? Do you let yourself be quote unquote inefficient for the sake of yourself, or do you have to always fill your time with something? Like, how do you deal with it?
Honestly, I have the tendency to get bored really fast with a lot of things. I tend to get tired. I tend to get bored. But at the same time, like, I also have stuff to do. You can never run out of stuff to do, realistically. Like, if you're bored, you could always like you could go out, have fun. You could stay in, have fun. You could study. You could learn how to cook. You can learn a new language. I don't want to get bored, and I want to keep my mind running as often as I can. Yeah, because I think one way to go about it is that I'm consistently learning new things, and I personally think that it'll help. It'll help me in the long run as a person, and as a character. Because what if I always think, what if I'm stranded in the middle of the desert, like in the middle of nowhere or in the jungle, and I don't know how to cook. Right, like, oh my god, no, this gonna be bad. Or what if I'm like my plane, like I start to like wake up and I'm suddenly in China, and oh my god, good thing I learned how to speak Chinese now. Wow, what a coincidence.
Oh, okay, fair. Fair point. It seems a bit of a stretch, but fair.
Yeah, but it's funny because my cousin said that, because I said I could be an orthopedic surgeon, and then he told me to get a diver's license. Because I can deep dive. And I said, oh, you know what, Ryan? You can specialize into underwater surgery, and oh my god. Because you're a diver. Because I would be a licensed diver and a surgeon.
I know.
So I could specialize into underwater surgery. Like,
but who do you prefer surgery or underwater?
I don't know. Like, it's...
Oh my god, that sounds like just the weirdest thought ever. It's so I don't. It's the weird.
Underwater surgery? Like, why?
Like, why? That is the thing.
I know waking up in China is far-fetched, but underwater surgery...
Waking up in China is far-fetched? My god. Oh, dear me. But yeah, it's just... I don't know, like, what you're saying is what I'm working towards, but I don't think I'm making any, like, inroads towards, trying to have... Let there be different versions of myself, I guess. When it's work time, it's obviously work time. You have to focus on work. But when you're at home, your son, your husband, your partner, your spouse, your friend and whatnot, like, how do you do it? How have you been working towards it?
Like, honestly, this is something I recently realized, because I've been so focused as well with medicine, that I couldn't focus on my own self anymore.
Yeah.
So it's like my mom told me that, hey, you've been out, you've been not with us because you've been so focused on this, and then you still have time
Mm.
because I don't want, and then don't isolate yourself, and that's why like I've been overall been trying to reconnect with my friends, like hang out with my sisters, talk to my mom, talk to my friend, talk to you guys, like. We're not just confined, like remember, like even the smallest things that we do or say, or even where we are as simply existing, it has an effect on everyone else. You may be a small cog in the machine. The world might work even without you, but just remember that if you are there, you matter. You make a difference. You make things faster, you make things challenging, but you matter. Yeah, that's just it. And I want to be there as a friend, as an older brother, as a son, as a grandson, yeah, as a cousin, as high school classmates, fellow doctor.
Yeah.
Like just, I've been trying to like, hey, it's been a while. I haven't seen you. Like, you wanna hang out? Because we have a lot of catching up to do, like stuff like that. I had that with some high school friends, and it just sort of reinforces that I am not just a doctor. I'm not just what I study. I'm not just what I work. I am also all of this. Yes, that's pretty much it.
So I picked up when it comes to how you deal with how you deal with not just being tied to your work or whatnot, is to, I guess, relationships. Really enough, it comes back to relationships again. Having relationships outside of work helps you to detach, helps you to reconnect with the rest of your life, so you're not always like focused on your work, which I feel like is something I struggle as well, because like the way you said when you said your mom said you haven't really been talking to us and whatnot. Like now that you said that, it actually gives me a fear that my parents actually feel the same, but they just don't want to voice it out because they want me to achieve what I want to achieve. And so there's this fear, because I remember I had a convo with my parents not too long ago, and they were talking about, you've been I've been at studying, like I've generally been at studying since 2018. I finished high school national exam December 2018. I went straight into college January 2019, so not even a month. I finished that in June 2020. I applied for this university course that I'm in, September 2020, so not even 3 months. So I've always been just at it, just studying. I've always been focused on it. I haven't really taken the time for myself, unfortunately, and also for my parents. And now that you say that, there's like a slight fear in me where I am losing time. I think that's the thing, that I am definitely losing time. It's just that I'm not conscious of it because I'm so focused on, again, what I want to achieve. Like you said, you're focused on what you want to achieve, that I forget about the small things in life. Like you just said, like the small things in life, saying good morning to your parents, replying to their messages, I haven't given them, I recently gave them a hug. It was the first time I hugged them in 5 years. When I thought about it, I actually teared up a little bit on the plane, because I was like, what have I done to myself? Why have I focused so much on my work to the point where I've forgotten to give time to the people around me?
Exactly. Yeah.
That scares me. That does scare me. But then it comes back to societal, again, if we come back to societal expectations. Society expects when you are a role. In this case, for example, you're a doctor, you always have to be performing your duties as a doctor, 24 hours 7, you're not allowed to take a rest and whatnot. Like, what do you think? What are your opinions? What do you think of societal expectations? Like these very much, I would say, arguably very unrealistic expectations. What do you think of them? How would you want people to change their expectations towards people in this profession?
It has always been, honestly, like, how do you deal with the stress? Expectations, not just in societal standards. Like, for society to expect, like, I'm a doctor, of course. I have to do my job. and of course they're the recipients of the care of healthcare, and I do that. They walk out happy. I walk out less stressed. Stuff like it's a very basic principle when it comes to like with patients. That's why it's so easy for a lot of us to like be disconnected, make it sound like it's like a transactional relationship. You want care, I give you care. You pay me, we're done. You're healed. You go. So expectations are very much different in a patient standpoint. Of course, it's a given as long as you do your job. But the thing is, like, if you do your job, and it's kind of different when we're gonna be talking about everyone else. Expectations will not be with the patients, but in fact with your own coworkers and your own family. So it's kind of like different because when it comes to your coworkers, like you would not be alone in taking care of these patients. Sometimes you'd be paired up with someone else from a different department, or you have a senior overseeing you. They always expect you to be perfect, a little to no margin of error. And even if you do fuck up something, you get a mouthful. But that's still case-to-case basis. Sometimes there are good folks out there who will help you correct your very own mistakes. But overall, like how I would deal with the more toxic folk, I have kind of learned that they say something, they say mean stuff, they say that I'm an idiot, they say I'm not worth it, they tell me to, in fact, like out myself, like it just passes to, yeah, I'm not joking. It's a very toxic, like, and then when people will yell at these things, like normally the normal response would be everyone will be crying. My friends will be crying, right? My friends will be crying.
Yeah.
But then for me, like it just goes in the other one ear and it leaves the other. I don't care. I don't care. Dude. Like whatever. I'll do it better next time. But everything else you say, I don't care. That's just how it is.
I feel like you've had this. I feel like what you're stating is just like having the skill to separate, criticism from insults. Where insults is just they're doing stuff like you're saying, like you did this wrong, you're this, you're that type of situation. And criticism is you did this wrong, you should do this next time, or you should fix this and whatnot.
Yeah, you should learn how to read between the lines, right? This guy would berate you. This guy would insult you, insult your mom, insult your dad, insult wherever you live. It's like a drill sergeant. Okay? But like, oh, you're an idiot. Oh, you got a small peen or something like that. But behind his message, don't fuck up. Do this. But I'm gonna insult you anyway.
Where does this toxicity come from? Because if you're going to convey a message of criticism, it has to be conveyed in a way where it's actually like absorbable, like where it's digestible. Whereas the way you've said it and whatnot, it takes a certain, like you said, it's reading between the lines. It takes a certain nuance to even like process what's going on. Like, where do you think that toxicity even comes from?
Yeah, honestly, like it would. The main reason why this is like a thing, and this is like super toxic, it's because people think that doctors should be tough, like because it's part of your training. They would always put it at the guys that it's part of my training. I remember I was in my neurosurgery rotation, and I got scolded for taking the patient's blood pressure on his leg. Now, I didn't know a lot, so this neuro doctor screamed at me like, "Oh my god!" He started pointing fingers at me. He started to berate me. And the nice thing was, the nurses in the ICU were like, "Hey, you that's mean. You're being an asshole. What the fuck are you doing?" And then he's like, "Oh no, it's okay. It's part of the training." And then the nurse is like, "What the fuck? You don't have to do that." And then no, it's part of the training because they have to be tough. And that's funny. Yeah, it's funny with that doc. Like, oh my god.
It's the like I understand. Like the toughness, I understand when it comes to that. It's a grim field. There's a lot you have to deal with. There's a lot of stuff you have to deal with and whatnot. But like trying to sweep it under the rug and trying to just label it, you know, to pre-package it nicely, just to sugarcoat it as training, and what just seems so. It seems like getting away with it. It generally seems like they're just trying to get away with, you know, trying to output all their. It feel, I don't know if this is true, and correct me if I'm wrong. It feels like they're trying to package up all the pent up, I guess, stress, anger, like embarrassment that they got from their peers, and then they're trying to enact it onto like their you know, the juniors under them. Is that right to say, or is that more so?
Yes, that is correct. That is correct. Actually, it's just like the kind of training that they do that because they think that they've been through the same thing, so it's now their turn to do the exact same thing. Yeah, so the cycle has to stop. It's a cycle.
How would you do it differently if you were in the position to do it differently?
I wouldn't be as toxic, that's for sure.
Yeah.
I would just say that, like, hey, I would say something if someone fucks up, like, hey, all right, what happened? I'll make him say, what happened? Oh, doc, something this and that happened. All right. So do you know what happened? All right. You know why it became like this? No, doc, I don't know. All right. Do you know why? I'll tell them honestly what I think. This is what you did. Now don't do this again. All right. We can fix this if we can. But don't do this again. I would say something like that. I would not say that, oh, you're an idiot. You would do this because you're an idiot. You don't deserve to be here. You see there? You see that trash? That's where you belong. Like, I would say stuff like that. But I know a lot of people who would.
Yeah, a lot of people who would as well. It's like it feels like, again, correct me if I'm wrong, it feels like there's the lack of patience, the lack of willingness to say something properly. Whereas it's like, do you think it's like a feel good thing to be able to berate someone when you're trying to educate them? Or
it's a bad thing. It's because people are less likely to listen to you.
Yeah, exactly.
If you are, yeah.
It's like the understanding, like I think all of us, like, to a basic minimum, understand the power of words. The way we convey our words and the words that we select will affect how people interpret our words. And probably everyone does have, you know, again, I guess I don't know if this is right to generalize. Everyone's smart enough to a certain extent understand what their words mean. Why do you think they don't go through the process, like even maybe take a few moments or a bit of brain power to try and say, okay, what's the best way to educate them on this? Like you said, you know, you'll ask them if they know what's wrong, you'll point out what's wrong, you make sure that they don't do it again. Why doesn't everyone do that? Why does it seem like what seems to be very basic courtesy seem like such a luxury or such a revolutionary thing? Why do you think that is?
The main reason for that, honestly, is what happened last. Like, what I'd like to think is that not a lot of people don't know how to communicate. That's just the reality.
Is that not taught in medical school, how to communicate?
No, you're taught how to study, how to be smart. You're never taught how to communicate. You're taught how to extract information, not to communicate. It's different. Because communicating is just a two-way process. Extracting information is also known as interrogation. That's why a lot of doctors have a hard time communicating with people, like in the most normal sense. So like the common courtesy of like just being critic about it because you don't want the mistake to happen again. Be just serious about it. People can't be soft. They would think that you have to be harsh. And where else would they learn that? From the people who did the exact same thing to them. And that has always been the culture.
And the cycle keeps going and going and going until someone is there to break it.
Cycle of abuse.
Cycle of abuse. What do you think it would take to break it? Like, do you think, like, because like you said, like I have this gripe with most educational, every bloody educational system, unfortunately, with a lot of courses where communication, like I said, communication is not, it's not taught. You know, for example, in my current semester, one of the courses is English for Profession. And when it comes to English for Profession, what I assumed was, you know, how to hold conversation, how to do office, you know, how to deal with office drama, how to deal with office debates. But no, it's how to write your, okay, understandably, it's important how to write your CV, how to make yourself stand out during an interview and whatnot. But again, it's the lack of skill, it's the lack of education on how to communicate properly and whatnot. Do you think that should be a basic thing that, you know, not only your medical course, but just most courses in most educational courses should be teaching, you know, the basics of communication?
Honestly, like when it comes to communication, it still wouldn't be the same if people are not taught how to treat each other better. Because if you teach people how to communicate, they just find fancier insults to use. Honestly, yeah, it starts with the culture. Communicating in a sense where, you know, like you have to be able to convey information without sounding really mean. That's just it, honestly. Because people are just taught to sound mean, and where else would they learn it from the people that taught it to them, aka their seniors?
Yeah, like you said, it goes back to another one of those very vicious cycle where it just keeps going and going. There seems like there's no incentive to break out the cycle, unfortunately. Like I feel like it should be like a basic thing. Like people just be like, this is you know, absolute nonsense. This is insufferable. Like it shouldn't be this. And then that's again, it sometimes takes incentive to change and whatnot. And sadly, is there incentive? Like, do people like? I'm sure you're not the only one who sees, you know, this toxicity and, you know, doesn't like it, but then they don't like voice it out. There's no incentive to voice it out, I guess. Is that
There
true?
is no incentive. There are hospitals who tend to deviate from the norm, but it's not, you know, it's not something that's very common. Like I worked in when I got into my PGI shift, I was in one of my favorite hospitals ever in Bohol. And the guys there, like, no one be mean to the PGIs. That was me. And then everyone was nice. And it all starts with one person wanting to make a change. All right. It all starts with that guy who is all the way high up. And it also starts with me. We don't need to nurture a culture of abuse. I've been verbally abused way too many times. I can't even count.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't. That's one thing with medical students was like, you guys you guys are, I feel like, again, not given enough credit for the stuff that you have to go through in order to perform your services and all that. It's just unfortunate, very much so.
Yeah, that is very much unfortunate. So that's pretty much like how it is. Like we're just gonna. Like, I just have to, until I get into a position where I can actually speak, until I can actually be someone, be able to like hold my own, right? Because abuse will always continue until the cycle ends, and it ends with me. Yes, fair. It'll stop. I'm not gonna do that to my students. I'm not gonna do that to my residents in the future. When I was a PGI, I never did that to the first year, to the fourth years. When I was a fourth year, the PGIs just told me to shut the fuck up. I never received help from a PGI when I was in fourth year. That's why when I became a PGI, I said, no, Doc, I don't know how to insulin IV. All right, I'll come with you. Or I'll teach you how. Yeah. I thought. Because I didn't want them to have the same experiences what I had when I was there. I was in that position.
But then, again, not trying to take sides of the argument of, you know, grit and tenacity and whatnot. Do you think that can be taught, or do you think that's just something that comes naturally as you go through the work experience and whatnot? Because like
it's something, it comes naturally, honestly. Because if you can't handle the type of work, I don't think it's cut out for you. Because it's really hard. It's just so hard to you know, be around and because it's a high stress job. Like regardless if like even if you can make the environment a lot more nicer, it will always continue to be a high stress job. I mean, realistically speaking, everyone would think their job is a high stress job.
Yeah.
But the thing here is, if I fuck up, I'm not the one suffering. I'm not gonna lose. It's not like a business where I would lose money because I fucked up. I screwed up a decision.
Yeah.
It's not like editing. I screwed up, so I lost my files. Someone dies.
Yeah, it's again
Someone
medical
dies.
personnel, life and death on the dot. No margin for errors, unfortunately. But then, you guys are still human. Like mistakes are still going to happen. So how, like, have you seen or have you been a part of mistakes where it was, to a certain extent, life altering to the patient, and how was it dealt with? How did the involved individuals like deal with it?
Oh, like honestly, with my patients, I always did like tend to really. I have never had an experience where it was because of me that I screwed up. I'm glad that I never had that experience, but I had a friend who he screwed up because he thought his patient's difficulty of breathing was because of his asthma, when in fact she was already bleeding inside. And we were kind of ticked off, right? Because this guy, this guy was kind of like, he was all talk, he was all air, it was all this and that. But the thing was, like, I'm gonna be frank, he was like an idiot. Because he was making baseless decisions, and then he said, "Oh, just take a rest, ma'am." And then it turns out she was bleeding on the inside, and it was not just life altering. It was not life altering for the patient. It pretty much ended her life. It was life altering to the family. And what ticked us off was he brushed it off as if nothing happened. In retrospect, that's actually very impressive. Like, and heartless even.
Yeah, but it ties back to what you talked about before, where it's just you've become desensitized because you can't afford to have senses, unfortunately.
Yeah, exactly. That's just how it is. Like, that was just how it was. Like, we couldn't really blame him for making that decision, because it's
But then
done.
it was a baseless decision, was it not?
It was a baseless decision, but it was a decision nonetheless. Like, it's over. She's not coming back. We can't repair her like a doll. We can't make another. We can't make edits.
Yeah,
like
we can't clone them.
She's
we can't
gone.
reincarnate them. It's gone. It's gone. Yeah.
So what we had to do was, like, we just had to make sure he doesn't fuck up again.
But how do you deal with the stress of that? Like, how do you deal with the aftermath of that? If you were in his shoes, like, have you gotten to the point where it was close to that, where you almost screwed up?
Oh, if it was almost, I would laugh it off. Like, oh my god, that was so close, hee hee. But honestly, if I was in that situation, like, I would be silent. I would just be on brain rot mode, because I might have just almost killed someone. I would probably, like, take some time off, just maybe play video games, just empty my mind, have a full mental reset. Because that will not sit well with me. That's why I'm proud to say that I have never fucked up.
That's really good. That's really good. I understand. Like, I understand. Again, medical industry being life and death and whatnot, and when people make mistakes, it could be again life changing for people. Like, but again, it comes back to, you guys are genuinely human. There will be times where you make mistakes. You're trying to minimize mistakes, understandably, but mistakes are still going to happen. Is the medical industry one that tolerates these mistakes? Do they see you? Do they see you guys, like, do they see you medical students as human, or do they see you as having to be perfect, no mistakes all the time, on the dot?
Perfect, no mistakes. You should know, because this is your level. That's pretty much how it is.
And you think that's fair?
Not really, honestly. I understand why they would give us the expectations that we have to perform the way we should. We have to be as perfect as we can, because this is a field where human lives are at stake. So
Yeah.
there's no margin of error, supposedly. But at the same time, we can't also help it. Like we don't know everything. We can't know everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
That's just how it is.
how have families reacted to that? That's what I want to think about, because I understand, you know, top industries, like people in your industry will definitely think like, okay, that you know, it's life and death, that you can't do any mistakes and whatnot. But I feel like, again, you're serving people. How do the people feel? Have you seen, you know, families, you know, having to react to their loved ones being, you know, their lives being changed, or their loved ones' lives being altered because of, you know, certain mistakes? Have you been a witness to it, or have you heard of any news? Like, have you heard of any possible occurrences from your colleagues about it? Like, how do they feel about it?
It's kind of weird because we rarely feel anything when it comes to patients. I'm gonna be real. We just know that they're well, or we just know that they're screwed. I mean, everything they say, there's nothing really they can do because it's just that, you know, our relationship with the patient is completely different from how we deal with everything else. Like when we fuck up, it's with us. Like the person who will be angry when we fuck up is not the patient. Primarily, it's our superiors.
Oh, so it's not the family, because I understand, you know,
No.
again, when it comes to, I don't know if it's a true expectation for society that you have to be perfect, you have to do all the time. When you know, something screws up and whatnot,
That's the
family
thing.
would
Like,
be, you know, pissed to hell.
yeah, but that's the thing. They don't know. They don't know that if we've screwed up or not because they don't know anything about medical stuff. So like it's just as simple as them not understanding what's going on.
What you
So to
don't know
them,
doesn't hurt you.
or technically it does, but you just don't know it did.
Mm.
That's just it. That's why, like, we just thought, oh, because she had an overdose of this meds, and oh my god, oh, that's so sad. Oh, thank you, doc, for everything. And they don't actually know what's going on. They do know that this is the cause of her death or his death, but they don't grasp what happened. Like, that's just it. They don't understand.
Does it make it easier then when it comes to stuff like that, or does it hurt you even more to know that they don't know that you know, something other than it being, you know, a possible mistake, for example, was the one that caused it? Does it hurt you even more, or do you...
It makes it more annoying if they knew.
Because they would pursue after you, wouldn't they?
Nah, not really. But because they would say, "Oh, because you had the wrong treatment," they'd be angry, pointing fingers, and realistically speaking, they have every right to.
Yeah.
But to us, like, it doesn't matter. It's just gonna pass through the other ear. Like it's a lot different, and I wouldn't say that I feel bad about it because it all ties down to medical professionals in general. We are desensitized.
Yeah, the desensitized part is the one that hurts me personally the most. But again, I'm not in the industry, so I don't really have a right to opinion, unfortunately. So it's like it hurts me the most to know that again, you're here to serve for people, but in order to serve that, you have to stop your senses, unfortunately, to better, I guess. Is it right to say that you have to desensitize in order to better serve people? Is that right? Or...
Yes, correct, and for your own sake as well.
For your own sake as well.
Yeah, because that will put so much of a strain on your mental health if you would keep crying every time someone dies. And a lot of people die every day. You're gonna run out of tears. You're gonna be tearing out. You're gonna be crying out blood at one point. And what are you gonna do? Like, you're gonna fall back to, you're gonna cry in the corner, and then okay, you're done crying because you're now getting over it. Oh, another person dies. It's gonna affect you. It's so heavy. So you just might as well turn that off. Like, it's not good for you.
Then when you turn that off, you know, in your work because you have to, are you able to turn it back on, or is it just off? Or, you know,
it's all off, subconsciously off.
Oh man, man, that I mean that sucks. There's no other way to
This
put it.
is the unfortunately reality of being. Sometimes when you are a high functioning person, sometimes sometimes there are things that you just have to forgo.
I think that is the thing with high performing individuals. Back to what I read in one of the words, like again, you're so focused on your stuff and you're so focused on performance and efficiency and whatnot, you negate everything. I'm in that position where I've negated most of my relationships, I've negated most of my happy time and whatnot, and I don't know if this is right to say. Like I'm going to say it here because I feel like you'll be able to tell me if this is the right thing to do. It's gotten to the point where I feel like emotions are unnecessary for me. I don't know what has gotten to me to that point, but for me, like when it comes to high performance and emotions, like for me it doesn't mix. In order for me to perform as highly as I can when it comes to studies, I need to get away from all the emotion, because emotion is only going to drag me down. Is that right to say, or do you think that's just like a coping mechanism for it?
Yeah, like I'm gonna be real. Like it's unfortunately at this point, I really want to disagree that you don't need emotions, but fuck, like it's hard. It's hard to perform. It's hard to agree with that. I want to agree with that, but I can't.
Because it's human. It's human to have emotions. I understand that, and that's why every time when I talk about, I genuinely break down by myself. It's just like I've foregone so much of my other aspects in life purely for my studies, and it's gotten to a point where I feel like I've lost everything when it comes to emotions. Like as much as I talk about being grateful and all, like that, like it doesn't register as much as I would want it to. I don't feel as warm and fuzzy as what I wanted. That when I hear other people say they're really grateful for something, or they feel really happy and they're warm and fuzzy, I envy that because I can't feel that. I have issues feeling that because like I've desensitized. I'm not even in the medical industry, and I've desensitized myself because of it. That's why I like wanted to ask you, like, is there a way to do it? But it seems like it doesn't really seem to be a reliable way to do it. Apparently it's just how it goes, unfortunately.
Yeah, unfortunately, if you're high performing, sometimes emotions go down the window. But never forget that you're still human. And if ever you do feel emotion, this is usually the time where it really does matter. This is something, if you feel something, it matters. For you, like I understand how you feel with that, right? It matters.
It matters, but unfortunately there's no like surrounding trigger, there's no environmental trigger for it to tell you that it matters. But to your point where you said, outside of being a doctor, like I guess that is why you don't like being tied to your doctor title, right? Because you don't just want to be known as a doctor. Is that right? Is that why like I remember the last time I talked to you about Doc Ryan and whatnot, you weren't the biggest fan of being tied to the doc title. Is that why? Because you don't want to be only defined as being a doctor? Is that why? Yeah,
you are correct. I don't want to be just a doctor. I want to be myself, because I don't want to be like talking about my work. I don't want people to just come to me because they have a medical query or they're going in for a checkup.
You want people to approach you because you're a gamer, a friend, a streamer, a mate, a spouse, a husband, a wife, or whatever it may be. Just something other than your work, I guess. That's what you're trying to say?
Yeah.
And it's something you're working towards as well.
Yes. And I'm working towards being a better person. I'm working towards being a better person, better, like just overall across the board.
Do you think actually you finish your statement first, I think?
Yeah, like just across the board, I just want to be a better person, and it just boils down to that, like simplify everything. I'm also Doc Ryan, but I am more than that.
Do you think that the medical industry, the industry that we're working, do you think it has a role in helping people find themselves outside of their roles as medical personnel?
People in the medical industry finds roles.
Do you think like you think the industry that you're working, the business that you're working and whatnot, do you think it has a responsibility to help you find yourself as well? Like you are on your journey to finding yourself outside of being a doctor. Do you think the industry has a responsibility to help people find themselves outside of being a doctor, or do you think it's the industry, you can only be a doctor, that's it, everything else you have to figure out on your own?
That's yeah. It's exactly that. Like, you're on your own. If you want to find something within yourself, you can discover yourself, what you are. You're on your own. Do you think
that
journey.
should be the case?
Unfortunately, it's a very personal journey. It's not for everyone, and people would be using it as an excuse to do not do well in their jobs. So I feel like this is your journey.
Yeah, you are right. Yeah, when it comes to like, when good things go into bad hands, yeah, it just turns out to be just bad in general anyway. Because I feel like when it comes to it, I guess the generalization when it comes to businesses, unfortunately we're going back to the topic of business, like medicine as a business. When it comes to businesses, again, the focus on arbitrary numbers, right? You already stated that you disagree. You think that doctors should, again, not base their performance on numbers, but base their performance on their service as a doctor. I guess one thing I want to bring up is, do you know Patch Adams by Robin Williams, the one that Robin Williams acted in?
Patch Adams,
the movie where like the doctor doesn't. I think it's, if I remember correctly, it's about a doctor who doesn't really have a degree, but he goes and cures people by making them happy, and he's questioned by the board. He's like, you have no medical expertise and whatnot. And it talks about how happiness and whatnot is being a medicine. Like, do you agree with that? Whereas like again, we talked about desensitization of senses when it comes to being effective at your job. But do you think that there should at least be some emotion involved, or do you think that's just like a disaster waiting to happen?
Some emotion involved, definitely, because you cannot disregard that we are also human. That is just how it is. We are also people, like finding, like with our own emotions, and even though like sometimes we may not feel things, but we should never forget that we are treating people in need of help, who feel pain, who feel sorrow, loved ones who who are in a state wherein they just want the person healed. Sometimes like it's just it helps to feel something, because now you can empathize, you can sympathize with people. It's emotions shouldn't be cut away from the equation, like, ever, honestly.
But it shouldn't overpower the equation as well. It should be there, but it shouldn't be.
Yes, exactly.
Man, but that's a fine balance though, right? That's a very hard balance to try and find, where it's like you have to perform your job well, but you have to be able to sympathize and empathize type of situation. Like, like is that balance that you've been able to achieve, or is that balance that you're still trying to strive for? What do you think you're getting
strive for?
Trying to strive for.
Yeah.
And let me guess, the industry doesn't really give you encouragement to strive for that balance, does it?
No, they don't care. Honestly, to be frank, they don't care. It
sucks. It sucks. It really just sucks. It really does.
It really does, but that's why we go against that kind of trend. So we don't want to be there, honestly. But yeah, that was a lot.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is a lot to comprehend, because I understand the medical industry where it deals with life and death. I've seen documentaries of junior docs having been overworked on, but the darkness of it, I've never been able to properly grasp. But you're talking about the insults, the desensitization, and all that. Is just, it makes it more grim. But I guess I have to ask, like, again, I think you've already answered this question just now. Is like, what keeps you going in such a field? Because I feel like a good amount of people, if they were met with such obstacles, if they were met with such circumstances, they would probably drop out, honestly. What keeps you going? What reminds you that I chose this path and I'm on this path? What keeps you going?
Well, first and foremost, I hate to admit it, but parents play a huge factor of that. You want to make them happy, right? So you want to do your best.
Yeah.
At the same time, you would always think of your future. Like, this is a setup for a bright future ahead. This is a setup, and I want to be in a better spot when I do start working. Yeah, that's just how it is.
And you have faith? Like, do you have faith in, like, again, because, like, you know, a brighter future, obviously the future is not here yet, and it's possibly hard to be tangible, it's possibly hard to comprehend. Where do you get, I guess, where do you get the faith, and where do you get the courage to know that you're setting up for a brighter future? Because I'm sure that there were times where you've doubted yourself, like, why am I here? Like, why did I choose this path?
How did I, like, with the future?
How do you remind yourself? How do you tell yourself that that what you're doing now is only going to set up for brighter things in the future?
How do I do it? I don't know. It's just kind of like I have to remind myself that I chose this, and I'm willing to go through with it. Like, I've never been the type to be discouraged very easily. So I would say, you know what, I'm gonna do it. I don't care if I get bad grades or good grades or whatever. I just wanna learn, and I just wanna keep on going.
That's a lot of courage. That's a lot of courage and a lot of faith to do that. Because I feel like for me, like younger me, if I saw my grades just drop even a little bit, I feel like I would have probably just like bowed out of it. And I feel like that's something I'm trying to look for, just to have courage and faith in what I want to do. Like in my recent semester, like in my recent assignment, I got the worst grades out of everyone because I chose a project that was inherently just difficult. There was no way I was going to get it properly done, but I just wanted to do it just to prove a point to myself that, you know, I don't need to, like you said, you don't go with the flow, you don't go with the norm, because it doesn't have to be the norm. The norm is, you know, like you said, the norm is being toxic, the norm is being insulting. But you're here, like you said, when you wouldn't do that to your juniors, you didn't do that to your juniors as well. So you're starting somewhere. Like, what gives you the courage? Do you find courage in yourself, or do you find courage in, like, what gives you the courage to do that? What gives you the bravery, the courage, the faith to be able to go through with that?
Like with what again?
With with being on this path. Other than your parent, you have to make your parents proud, and you know you have to hunker down and go through it. There has to be something that keeps you like pushing. You know, there has to give you this. There must be something that gives you the courage, the bravery, the confidence, even to go through with it. Like, what gives you that confidence?
Confidence?
What is it? Just
do
you just find it in yourself, or do?
I find it in myself, honestly, because I always work towards being a better person overall, being better, stronger, and whatever failure I get, I'm proud to say that I have never cheated. I've not cheated. My scores are shit in comparison to a lot of people, but I will always say that those are my scores. It's what I know. And I don't care if I fail, as long as I learn.
Yeah, same here, honestly. I think I posted on Twitter a while back where I did a quiz legitimately. I got 28 out of 50, and all my friends were at the back of the class copying answers. They got 14 out of 50. I actually got discouraged that time. I think it was one of the first time where I felt like maybe I should cheat. It's like it's hard to find courage when everyone around you is doing, like, if everyone around you is doing the thing that shouldn't be done, you're most certainly going to be influenced to a certain extent where you have a thought in your head going, maybe I should do it as well. Like, what's stopping me from doing it? Myself. I am my worst enemy. I am stopping myself from doing it. I guess in your situation, you're stopping yourself from cheating and whatnot. I guess that's right to say.
Yeah, I had to be like that. Well, I decided to take this path, and I'm glad I did. That's just how it is. But yeah. Also, my throat is dried.
I guess we're gonna yeah, I'm just trying to try that. I guess we're gonna have to start summarizing. Fair enough.
Yeah.
Let me start summarizing. I feel like I have one more question at the end, but I guess I'll start summarizing. So I've made notes. I'm not sure if I can read them, but I'll try my best.
Hold on. I have to go to the toilet. Hold
Go
on.
for it. Go for it. Go for it. Go for it. I can wait here. No problem. Go. 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 Oh man. Man, I really want this to, but yeah, hopefully everyone in chat is fine. Major, hey, hey, Major. Sorry, I had to respond to your chat so late, but yeah, we were in the midst of it. So yeah, it's really fun. It's really eye opening, the stuff that Ryan is saying and whatnot. How the medical industry is, how he keeps the courage, how he keeps the faith, how it should be changed, how he is making change. Like it really is really nice to see that he is making the changes. It's hard to buck the trend. It's hard to buck the trend of how he talks about being toxic towards your juniors and all that. It's hard to buck the trend, understandably. It takes a lot of courage, and it takes a lot of it takes confidence as well to be able to buck the trend. It's not something that you can just do out of like nowhere. It's not something that you just do out of fun and whatnot. There has to be something in you that gets you to do it, that tells you to say, this is not the right thing to do. I would like to make a change. I think there is courage in action. Well, it's so common for most people to talk about wanting to change something, but it's also so common for those people to not want to do anything to change it. It's again talking the talk and not walking the walk. And so that, like, Ryan's not here, but yeah, that's why Ryan's is a good amount of inspiring. I think after this, rather short, I would say it's approaching 2 hours only. Wanted to go longer, but I guess it's fair enough. But yeah, it is what is inspiring, where he's willing to buck the trend. He's not willing to do to his juniors what his peers has done to them, because it's so normal. I feel like for if you get sometimes when you get bullied and whatnot, for you to be the bully again towards other people, and to see him to say, okay, that's not what I'm going to do. I'm going to do it different. I've gone through the hurt. I'm not going to welcome back. But yeah, I was talking about how, like, one of the things that I find inspiring at the moment is like how your peers have been bad towards you. You don't do it to your juniors. Where, like, I feel like that would be the norm. That would generally be the norm of just, oh, someone has done this and this towards me. Now I get to have the power to do it towards someone else. There is something. I feel like that does give you power, but then, I mean, it's wrong at the same time. But it depends on what you prioritize. Do you want to feel powerful, or do you want to just do the right thing? Unfortunately, man, it's a weird balance. But yeah, since you're back, I guess we will try to summarize. So, what have I learned from you? The medical industry is a service industry, is very much human. I think, again, societal not just expectations in general, that, again, doctors have to be perfect and well, it's understandable why they would have such expectations, but we have to remind ourselves that the people that are healing us, like they need healing as well. It's not like you guys are doctors and suddenly you don't need to be healed. You guys do need to be healed as well. It's just that you're here to serve us, to heal us, and I feel like I mean, we can't take that for granted, unfortunately. And I think we have to understand that it is okay. It is okay to not always be of the highest performance, even though everyone expects you to. And you talk about how a good doctor isn't basing it off of numbers, which is because, again, so much of our world is based off of numbers. When it comes to sales, who makes the most sales, it's a number thing. Grade, it's a number thing. Who performs the most amount of operations, it's a number thing as well. Whereas you prioritize being a good doctor, being a good medical personnel, as just being able to serve. I think that's what's comforting. Where that's like there are still people in the probably a slightly number-driven industry. I feel like every industry is turning to become a number-driven industry, where there's still people who are human enough to say, I'm here to be a human, to serve a human. I think there's something very invigorating. There's something very comforting about that as well. Separating yourself from your work, not being tied to your work, that is something like I feel like that's something that I will be taking away, because I struggle with it a lot, and I know that you're still on the path of trying to separate yourself from, you know, not just being Dr. Ryan, but, you know, just being a friend, a brother, a sibling, a son, and all that good societal roles as well. That you're not just a doctor, even though your work is based around being a doctor, but there's still so much to it besides that. And how you talked about the smallest things having the biggest effect, where you're trying to I'm sure you're not the only one, but it's always good to see that there is someone who's trying to buck the trend again, going from being toxic, you know, your peers enacting or practicing some form of toxicity on you. You're very much actively trying to buck the trend, and your aspirations is to hopefully get to a position where you can, I guess you can trickle it down. Where you talked about where one of the hospitals you worked in, at the top they were already kind, so it started trickling down as well, and people at the bottom were given the courage, maybe because they see their higher uppers already being kind, so they have the courage to be kind. So it goes from you've got something coming from the bottom, you've got something coming from the top, and it all meets in the middle. So there's something good about that. But you did say that it's very rare, right? Unfortunately.
Yeah.
Man. Yeah, that really just sucks. And
Yeah.
I guess you also talked about, you know, everyone being a person. Again, the reminder that everyone is very much human. The patients that you talk to is human. You yourself, you're human, and so a transactional relationship, though sometimes required, is, I guess, not preferable. I guess in your opinion of it, there has to be some form of emotion that goes into that relationship because it's a relationship nonetheless, even though it may just be you know, a client relationship. There is still a relationship going on there, so you still need some emotion, you still need something that you can relate to, something other than the service or the transaction at hand to relate to. And I think what I also learned from you is just courage. I think when it comes to the medical industry, I know the medical industry is incredibly harsh. You go through so many years of studying compared to everyone else. You have to go through so much nonsense compared to everyone else in the service industry, in any industry in general. And again, you having the courage to, again, not having to cheat, you know, dealing with your grades as is, just your focus, your pure, like, undivided focus on purely just learning, and not just, you're not there just to, like, you know, you're not just to get the paper. You're also there because you want the power, or you want the responsibilities that is given as a doctor to do more things for society and whatnot. I think that's something very, there's something very warm, there's something very inspiring, there's something very commendable about that as well. Because again, like, when it comes to, again, it could very well be a numbers game. Like, I mean, you've admitted that sometimes it is a numbers game to you, but you make it more than that. You make it about being, you make it about service. You make it about being a human wanting to serve another human, and that's something very, very comforting about that. So I think that's the best way to I guess summarize all that. And I guess second to last final question. Since we're talking about medical and whatnot, what is one story? I guess for you, the craziest story, like the craziest medical story that you've gone through, but that, you know, you can safely say on stream. Because I remember the last time you talked about it, it was the ambulance incident. I remember that one.
Yeah.
Do you remember that one?
Oh my god, there's a lot of ambulance incidences.
The one where you had to help someone with birth and whatnot. You remember that one?
Oh, that, yeah. There's a lot of stories, and
What's the one that's most impactful for you?
I guess, like, the most impactful one was a ghost story.
Oh,
and I'm
interesting.
not sure if I want to say it on stream.
Up to you. That's your choice. It's your choice.
You know, I want to hold it in. I want to hold back. Like, you know, dude, like, that's a lot. Like, that was the most impactful because it was this, like, let's just have it like summarized, like a little bit of a summary. So I was in, like, I'm in night shift. Oh, I walked in, And then I see my patient. She was in the ICU,
Mhm.
and then I saw this nurse like spraying salt all over her room. Like, oh my god, hurry! Like, she's coming, she's coming. She's saying that, she's coming, she's coming. Hey, ma'am, what's going on? Wait, are you toxic? Are you toxic? She's like, she looked at me crazy. Are you toxic? Tell me, are you toxic or no? No, ma'am. Like, as long as I'm here, like, I've never had any deaths in my care before. I've never, at that point, I didn't have any. No one died under my care. So,
Okay.
oh, take it out, or get inside the circle, because she's coming. She's coming. Like, she's like, well, what the fuck is going on? Like, is she crazy? All right. Are you the religious type? I do go to church every now and then. All right, that's good, because she's afraid if someone will come in, and then, like, she would always talk like, is that this particular person, the lady, is coming to take the life of this patient, and she knows that she's coming, so she sprayed salt all over her room. Sea salt. Yeah.
Wait, spraying sea salt as in scattering salt all over the room?
Yes.
Okay, okay.
And then she's like, we had to talk, like, all right. And then she's 16 hours, so I went out like 12 midnight. I went out to grab midnight, food, like burger.
Okay.
I went out of the room, and then scary part was, as I was eating my burger, I heard footsteps behind me. So there was this bald lady, like a little bit, like, pretty tall.
Okay.
And then she was wearing her mask, and then I could hear her walk with barefoot. She was not my patient, so I didn't care. I heard the walking again, and it was much faster this time, but I did not dare look back. And the next thing I know, it felt like someone was on my shoulder and pressing me down.
Right.
Like, it was so heavy. Like, I was like, oh my god, why is this so heavy? And I was low-key freaking out. All right. And then I decided to look back, and then she was not there. No one was there. So I like brisk walked all the way to the room, and then, oh my god, the salt! I'm saved. And I am a believer, ma'am. Like, wow. And then she's like, oh, you met her? Oh yeah, what'd she look like? And she was bald. She was tall, wearing a hospital gown, had a mask. Oh, you should meet the others. And then, there are more.
You should meet the others. Oh, jeez.
There are more.
This sounds like you're meeting the Kardashian family of ghosts. It's like,
what is this? 13 ghosts? No, I don't want this.
oh my gosh.
When she left out of her duty,
Yeah.
she left, and I left as well. The patient died. And then,
that still gives you the goosebumps. That's it still.
There are more. There are more. What?
Oh my. Oh jeez Louise. That is okay. That's a funny. Okay, for me it's funny, but for you probably in that moment probably is terrifying.
In that moment it was terrifying. Well, it was funny. It was funny.
Because the way you say it sounds so it's so out there. I mean, again, it's the paranormal, so obviously it's going to be out there regardless. It's like the way you say it's like oh my gosh. I mean, it's a pretty good story. I guess one very, very final question.
Alright.
Advice to the audience, I guess. Like as you know, you're pursuing your degree, and you know you've gone through the ups and downs, the highs and lows, and I'm sure there are more ups and downs that you're going to be going through as you once you have MD attached to your name. What advice can you give to people about going through the ups and downs and the highs and lows of a medical student? Because medical students, I think, get it pretty hard. Like, so how do you do it? What advice would you give people to?
Honestly, the kind of advice I would give is always remember why you're there in the first place. Because sometimes people tend to forget. You tend to get stressed, you tend to get tired, but never forget that you yourself, you decided to go through this, and you have to work for it. This is all just steps required so that you can get to where you need to be. And being discouraged is completely fine. Like what they would say to me, allot yourself for time for yourself to cry, and then get back to work. That's what they tell me. Like, oh, every 12 midnight, I had a friend. His name is Paul. Like, he would just cry. Oh, he'll cry at 12 o'clock and 12:15. All right, I'm done. I'm back to work. He'll go to the toilet every 12 to 12:15 and he'll cry. He'll scream. And afterwards, he just comes out. All right, back to work.
Oh my gosh. But it's the space. It's letting yourself break down. I feel like this like again. There's so I think it's so often for people, even for myself, unfortunately, it's so normal for people to just hold it in because you don't. Again, societal norms of you're supposed to be strong and you're supposed to be you're supposed to have mental fortitude and grit and tenacity. Whereas like it's a skill nonetheless. It's something that you build up, but it's not something that it's always there. You only have limited amounts of it anyway. Like one way or another, you're going to run out of it eventually. Unfortunately, you're going to run out eventually. But yeah, I think like you said, what you said, like remember why you're doing something. Remember why you're there. It's fine to be discouraged, but it's to always keep your eyes on the prize, I guess. Yeah, that's good. But yeah, 2 hours, not bad actually. That was a really eventful 2 hours. I really enjoyed that. I guess one thing I wanted, like I guess one final piece of message I want to say is you talking about how you want to buck the trend of toxicity, how you want to make it more, I guess, a better environment in general, a better culture in general, where I've already seen you working on it. You've already talked about working on it, where you don't want to be as toxic as your peers were towards you. And all I can say is all the best in your coming board exams, and I really do hope that you get to that position where you're able to perform that very significant change, because I feel like I feel like I know that you're not the only one doing it, but it's always comforting to know that there is someone doing it. And I really do hope that you people around you give you the courage, give you the strength, and you yourself you keep the courage and keep the strength as well, is to spearhead to some extent revolutionize the way that medical the medical industry conducts itself, where it's understandable that you have to be strict, and I know you have standards and you're always about upholding standards, but you're also about upholding people as human as well, and to not forget that people are human too. I really do hope the best for you. Like the way you've conducted yourself throughout this interview it's very inspiring, the stuff that you say. It really is, like the wisdom that ekes from it, the inspiration, how you're always reminding people that everyone is human and that your pure purpose is to serve. There is something very, very comforting to know that there is someone like you that still exists in what is undoubtedly a very, very difficult industry, to keep up that faith, to keep up that mindset. And there's something very, very comforting, there's something very invigorating, there's something very encouraging, there's something very inspiring to know that there is a person like you to maintain that mindset. And I wish you all the best. I genuinely just wish you all the best. It really, that's the least I can do, unfortunately.
You're too nice.
I'm not. Hey, I give credit where credit is due. I love you so much, honestly.
I love you too, Nate. Yeah,
I love you too. However, oh man, the way I love it.
I guess I understand. I completely understand when things are, really, kind of different. And it's just that I don't want people to think about like the stress that comes with it, like with studying, with the work, because you're not gonna be, when you grow old, you're not gonna be saying, oh, all I did when I was 15 to 20 years old was study.
That would be me. You're explaining me in the future. That would generally be me. 15 to 20, like, I would be studying. Yeah,
that's just it. Like I wouldn't want that to happen to you guys, because I want you guys to like, oh, I remember when I was younger, I was in this group of friends, and then they happened to be VTubers.
Yeah.
Oh, what are those, grandpa? And then we did a lot of amazing shit. Like, I did this interview with a lot of different people. Yeah, this would be things that you would be telling stories to.
Yeah, it's to separate myself from my work. Yeah, I think that will be something
Definitely.
to work on. Hey, I really do love you. I appreciate your time. I appreciate everything you said.
I love you too, Nate.
Your absolute magic, absolute wisdom. It really is absolutely freaking amazing.
Thank you, Nate. Thank you.
I guess now the only thing left to do is to rate. Do you have anyone to rate in particular?
Oh, honestly,
If anyone in the chat wants to say something, you're more than welcome to. I guess we can allocate a few
I
minutes
think
for that.
everyone is just like listening to you and me talk right now. I get the
It's just
feeling.
something. There's something. The way you conduct yourself is really nice to talk about. Like the stuff you say is so, I guess, different, and it adds so much more information to just rumors and expectations again. Because rumors and expectations they're only a very shallow face value type of thing. Whereas to be able to have someone who's gone through the industry and to know the ins and outs, and I know there's more ins and outs that you're going to figure out, and I'm sure you'll. And again, to know that you see the ins and outs and you see the problems with the ins and outs, and you're trying to fix the problems with it. There's something very invigilating. There's something very invigilating, encouraging one. I think there's now more respect tied to your name, not just because of the doctor thing. There's more. There's the name Doc Wright is always going to be there, but the respect has been gained in just Ryan. To know you as Ryan, just I know you don't appreciate Doc Ryan. It's understandable. Now that you say that, it makes absolute sense. Like, you don't just want to be remembered as a doctor, you want to be remembered as a streamer, a friend, a spouse, a husband, everything in between that is impactful towards the people that you love around you. And I think that's what I love about you. I really do.
Thank you, Nate.
I found someone great. Come on.
It's someone I just met because I saw someone. Wait, a VTuber playing Counter Strike. Is it fine? Like, wait, it's not Valorant. Is it okay?
Yeah, sure. I can. I don't have.
It's on follow only, but I do plan on following because it's CS:GO. So I'll fuck.
Alina Lee. Okay, I'm gonna have to give him I'm gonna have to search their channel for a bit and then. It's follow only. Is that what it said?
Oh yeah.
Follow only. Okay. Okay, let's give. Why is there a hammer going around my cursor? Wonder
No,
I was like confused. I was like, wait, is this just going? Oh, you can do. Oh yeah, because I never took away the raid thing. But yeah, hold on. Let me unmute and let me follow them.
All right.
Aha.
Am I getting like bot followers or something?
Am I getting bot followed?
No.
Wow. Ah,
Bum here. LT low. Nice.
oh, yeah. Not fearless. Look at the stream. I mean, because I've been getting bot followers.
Fair enough. I can understand where her paranoia comes from. Where it's getting bot followed or what. So
Yeah, this is a non-Filipino streamer, I think. So this is gonna be interesting.
It's gonna be interesting. We'll see how you're just gonna put
I want to meet other streamers from different nationalities.
Yeah, there's something immediately. Yeah. Oh yeah. The raid messages. Hold on. Can I copy it, please?
Yeah.
Can I please follow it? But yeah, that will be it. Hold on. Let me shout you out one last time to those who are still in the chat. If you have not followed Ryan, please go give him a follow. You cover a good amount of stuff. You cover any games, honestly. FPS games, Tekken. You're very much well known for Tekken. You are the man when it comes to Tekken.
I am well known for Tekken. Yes.
You're well known for Tekken. You're well known for a lot of other games as well. But yeah, if you want someone who gives you the best laughs ever, give Ryan a follow. Your laughs, I swear, it's a different level. It really is a completely different level of it. It's something just absolutely magical about it.
Thank you, Dave.
Yeah, love you, man. Yeah, I really do. But yeah, let's
Alright,
raid. What is? Do I remember how to raid? I do remember how to raid. Come on, dark number. Okay. Come on. It's time to raid. There we go. All right, so raid is in session. So yeah, that was with Ryan. Yeah, I need to like consciously like fix myself. But yeah, that was with Ryan when it comes to high performance. So yeah, High performance. We're all still human. I guess that's the best way to put it. We're all still human. We all still have our flaws, and we're all still working on it. Very much how Ryan is working on it as well. So yeah, for those in the chat, I hope you enjoyed. I enjoyed it very much, Ryan. Thank you so much again for your time. I really
Thank
do
you
love
for
it.
having me, Nate.
Hey, I had to have you. High performer, society's highest performers, and the insights you've given. It's absolutely a blessing to have you. Love you to death, honestly.
Oh,
But yeah.
right.
Hopefully everyone takes care in chat, and then Monday is coming as well. So you know everyone's going back to their schedules again. It's a new week, but yeah. Hopefully you enjoyed. Thank you for joining. Thank you for lurking. And until I see you guys again, please take care of yourself and take care of each other. With that, good night.
All right.